Giannis got traded last night, finally. It only took what feels like 2 years. I know that's not correct in terms of the timeline, but that took way too long. And, I grew up in church, and, I'll never forget being a kid. And my mom would tell me and my siblings that it was time for us to go, and we would head for the door. Then my mom would see one of her friends, and she would stop for like 15 to 20 minutes to talk to them. Meanwhile, I would be standing there thinking, hey, Mom, do you remember when you said we were leaving? Like, is that actually going to happen? And that's how I've really kind of felt about this entire Giannis thing. I think a lot of people have felt that way as well. First, he wanted to leave. Then he wanted to stay. So he didn't get traded at the deadline during the season. And then Sunday, there were reports that Giannis was expected to be traded in 48 hours. It finally happened. Jimmy Haslam, Bucks owner, came out and said he wanted to get the deal done before the draft. And they did. So the Miami Heat finally get their guy, and I'm glad they did. I think the Bucks made a mistake in the trade partner that they chose. I personally would have taken the Celtics offer if I was the Bucks. I know Giannis wanted to go to Miami. I know that was his preferred place. I know he also wanted to go to Boston. But when you're making a move like this, you have to have the interest of the franchise first, not the interest of the player that you're trading away. And part of me feels like the Bucks just kind of defaulted to what Giannis wanted. Here are the details of the trade in case you missed it. Giannis and Bobby Portis to the Heat for Tyler Herro, Kel'el Ware, Jaime Jaquez Jr, Kasparas Jakucionis. I never say his name right. Apologies. 3 first-round picks, including pick number 13 this year, a pick swap, and a second rounder. Let's start with the Miami side of this. The Miami Heat basically bought a massive multi-million-dollar mansion, but had to sell all their furniture, their car, their kitchen appliances, and more just to afford the down payment. Sure, the house looks incredible from the outside, but you're sleeping on the floor. Miami gutted a lot of their roster. For Giannis, they've still got a couple good players. They still have Jovic, Drew Smith, backup point guard, second-round pick out of Arizona. Pick number 44, like Pele Smith, something like that. Sorry, I don't have their roster up in front of me. So they've got a couple good bench guys. Bobby Portis will help with the depth, but I don't love their depth. It's okay. It's passable. If I'm an Eastern Conference fan, I would be happy about this. They send him to Miami with Bam Adebayo, who's not some prolific offensive player. Norman Powell, if they're able to re-sign him, is going to be a nice piece. It's those 3 guys, Andrew Wiggins, and Heat culture. That doesn't scare me nearly as much as the combination of Jason Tatum, Giannis, and all the role players that Boston has. Facing Miami right now is like fighting a heavyweight boxer who doesn't have a corner crew. If you can just survive the big punches, if you can survive that starting lineup, they're going to get worn down over the course of the playoffs and over the course of a 7-game series, and you're going to have a chance. Okay, facing Boston with Giannis would have been like trying to fight a swarm of hornets. Just a ton of depth and powerful stings. Okay, so the other part of this, Jaylen Brown's name was publicly reported in the trade, so there's going to be some Jaylen Brown rumors. I've got some stuff on that as well, but depth has been a major theme of the last 2 finals. The Pacers and Thunder, 2 finals ago, were very deep teams. The Knicks and the Spurs this year were deep teams. I don't think Miami has the same level of depth as those teams. Now, maybe, they're able to find somebody in free agency. Maybe they find an undrafted guy and they get lucky. I don't know. Stuff like that doesn't really happen much anymore. And they could have added to that depth with the 13th pick this year, but they traded it away. And in exchange, they got a 31-year-old superstar who's had injuries pile up over the past couple of seasons. Trading for Giannis right now is like buying a high-end luxury sports car with 150,000 miles on it. It looks beautiful sitting in your driveway, but you're also terrified every time the engine makes a funny noise. Also, they traded for Bobby Portis, another 31-year-old who's a good player, but if he's the best player off your bench, and he might be, I feel like you need a little bit more than that. They don't really have a backup center right now. So congrats on getting Giannis, Miami. But I'm not sure you're better than some of your counterparts out in the East. I think the Pacers are going to be better. I think Boston's going to be better. We'll see what ends up happening with Jaylen Brown. So we'll come back to the Boston thing. I think the Knicks are going to be better. The Pistons are looking to upgrade. I think I'd take all 4 of those teams right now over Miami. I may take Cleveland as well. And let's get back to the Boston offer. I would have taken that offer if I was Milwaukee. The Celtics offered Jaylen Brown and 2 first-round picks. So it's one less pick. But the Bucks are going to have to get incredibly lucky to draft a player as good as Jaylen Brown. Like, I know he's 29, but at worst, you trade Jaylen Brown for more picks if that's what you really wanted. They could have gotten 2 firsts from Boston, flipped Jaylen Brown for 3 more after he averaged 30 this year for you. Instead, they got a bunch of scraps from Miami. Like, Milwaukee chose to trade a crisp, pristine $100 bill for a handful of crumpled $5 bills, some loose quarters, and a couple of expired gift cards. Tyler Herro is a good player. He's a one-time All-Star. Everyone else that they got is a rotation player at best. Jakucionis couldn't really even get on the floor for Miami last year. I personally would have preferred the guaranteed superstar, because that's what Jaylen Brown is, and 2 first-round picks rather than 1 solid player, some rotational players at best, and 3 first-round picks. We'll see how this plays out. I don't think there's really any real winner here. Like, the Heat got some more name recognition. They'll be in prime time a little bit more, but they got an older player with recent injury struggles that's going to be asked to do everything like he was in Milwaukee. They don't really have a second offensive option that I love. Like, their second best offensive player is Norman Powell. Bam Adebayo is their second best player, but he's not the same level of creator and things as Giannis and Norman Powell are. I don't love that. I'm interested to see how Giannis looks next to Bam, who, Bam Adebayo, to his credit, started taking more threes this year. But he's not some prolific 3-point shooter. So the spacing is going to be an interesting aspect of this. I have a lot of questions on how Miami is going to finish putting this roster together. It'll be interesting. For Milwaukee, I feel like I've already went over this. They're going to be bad. The Blazers are happy about that because they have all their picks. Also, the Bucks don't have a star. They could have had one with Jaylen Brown. But ultimately, the loser in all this, I think, is Boston, because, it's like they just accidentally texted their current girlfriend a text that was meant for their ex, and now they have to try and survive the fallout. Jaylen Brown isn't going to be happy that his name was in the trade. It already seemed like he kind of wanted out. Now, I'm willing to bet that that's going to happen. And this is not a prediction, but the first team that comes to mind are the Minnesota Timberwolves. They just traded away Julius Randle. They freed up a ton of cap space for them. They have a $33 million trade exception. They have the space now to bring in a Jaylen Brown or another star, I suppose, because it's the NBA, and you never know what's going to happen. They were, on the verge of maybe getting Giannis back in February around the trade deadline. That didn't happen. So now the Giannis sweepstakes are over. The Jaylen Brown sweepstakes are about to begin. Thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and I'll talk to you again soon.